Yo Nemi gang, in today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about the one jab. There are a lot of people that don't really know how to utilize their one jab in their neutral, and learning how to do this will heavily improve your neutral game in general. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of top level players or high level players throwing out one jabs or jabs in general, and would you question why this is the case? So let's say I'm going to give you guys just a few tips and just a general breakdown on what the idea is with using one jabs a lot whilst in neutral. So jabs are the fastest moves in Tekken in general outside of character specific moves such as Yoshi's flash or King's forward neutral 1+2. So because of that, the one jab is the safest move you can throw out on whiff in this game with very little risk. No one in this world is going to whiff punish a one jab unless they 100% expect it, which is very rare. So it's relatively safe to throw out one jabs here and there whilst moving around in neutral. But why should you do this? Why throw out one jabs in your neutral? Well, there are a few reasons why you want to do this. So firstly, one jab is a very good tool to use as an interruption tool. So think of it this way, right? You're moving around in neutral, right? The shmoving, the movement, the neuch, the taking neuch, of course. Wouldn't it be better if you had some sort of tool you could throw out with very little risk and in some cases catch people trying to run into you? Well, that's exactly why you want to use the one jab in neutral. So for example, let's take a look at Dragonov's running tool. Of course, one of the best tools in the game. So if you expect a Dragunov player at close range to come in with a running tool, you can preemptively throw out that one jab and interrupt them right in the middle of that move. This applies to other moves such as Horang forward 4, Jack forward 1, Low forward 1+2, or even King forward 1 or forward neutral 1+2. It's a very good tool to use as an interruption tool. And even if you just throw it out and they don't use any of these moves, you're still safe because no one is going to whiff punish a one jab like I said earlier. So it's a very good tool to use for interruptions. Now keep in mind, this is very character specific in some cases, or let me say situation specific. As good as the one jab is, it is a high, so against characters that are very good low crushing moves, so that are very good high crushing moves, it can be a bit risky to throw out the one jab. So characters like King, for example, forward neutral 2 goes under highs. So if you're throwing out that of one jabs and the King keeps spamming forward neutral 2, you are fighting a losing battle because you keep going under your jab. So very situation specific. Another example is Feng. Feng has that annoying ass down back 3. You can't keep on spamming one jabs against Feng because of that down back 3. You have to know when to throw it out. Feng has that back 3 as well, which is very annoying. Plus, I think it's +6, right? But one jab is very good to interrupt that back 3. But again, it's a mix-up because Feng does have that down back 3. So you have to know when this Feng player will most likely throw out a down back 3 or they'll throw out a back 3. It all depends on how strong characters' high crush moves are, is what will determine how risky throwing out that one jab is going to be. But it doesn't always have to be a high crush move. Even a move like Bran's quarter circle back 1, at a specific range, it does go under highs. So again, throwing out one jabs randomly can be very risky. Poor down forward 2 has some weird high crushing properties for some reason, will go under jabs once in a while, so have to be very careful against characters such as Paul and Brian. So just as it is a very good move as an interruption tool, it's a very good move for keep out in general as well. Against characters that don't have very good high crush, a one jab is going to save your life tremendous amount of times. Characters like Horang, characters like Brian at point blank range, Paul at point blank range, these characters don't have the best high crush moves. So when you're in these characters' face, one jab is very strong against these characters. So again, it's very important to know matchup knowledge and know what specific moves you're looking for when facing specific matchups. Another reason why the one jab is good is because it turns defense into offense. So basically, neutral into offense in your favor. The one jab on block is +1, meaning it's +1 at your advantage. You can throw out jabs as a follow-up afterwards, and this is why you see opponents or high-level players spam jabs a lot, like one jab into jabs, one jab into jabs. They're taking advantage of that +1 to continue their offense. So just picture this, right? You're moving around in neutral, right? Moving around, you throw out a one jab and they happen to run into your one jab. either on block or on hit. On block at +1, that means okay, you can still throw out more jabs afterwards. On hit, it is +8, which is very, very strong. So you're moving around, you throw out a one jab, they happen to run into your one jab, then you are now +8 in your favor. So this has changed neutral, right? Random neutral. But because you throw out your one jab and they run into your one jab, you're now +8, meaning you get to continue your offense. And most people usually tend to press a lot of buttons after getting hit by a one jab because they do think, okay, this happened by mistake. Just randomly threw out a jab and I got hit, so let me retaliate and like jab afterwards. But they are -8, you are +8, right? Like a one jab to down forward 2, they get launched. One jab into any frame trap that you have, they get launched. This is basically why one jab is very important. Not 2 jabs at once, not 2 jabs at a time, because throwing out 2 jabs is more risky than the one jab on its own. The one jab is relatively safe, very difficult to whiff punish, is plus on block and plus on hit as well. So always work on your one jab when you're moving around in neutral. Don't just spam KDB, KDB, KDB. You can easily invite an opponent to get in against you. But spamming KDB and throwing out a one jab here and there, now that's the way to do it. Again, situation specific and matchup specific. Look out for certain moves that you want to target for that one jab you're throwing out here and there. And even stuff like dash forward into one jab, right? It kind of works the same way, except you're covering the space, right? Let's say you're Korean backdashing a lot, right? You're keeping that like range 1 to range 2. So Korean backdashing, 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 you dash forward to close that space and throw out a one jab because you want that opponent to get hit, right? You want that +8. You want them to run into you for that advantage so that you can keep your offense going in your favor. That's the idea. Like, there's so much you can do with this jab, and it's mostly underused by a lot of players, especially like mid to low level. I think a lot of high level players know how this works. So in tournament, if you happen to see a lot of top players throwing out one jabs, this is the reason why. It can dictate the pace of a match if you use it correctly, either at close range for offense or like just zoning around, moving around, throwing one jab. That's the whole idea. So that's basically how the one jab is used, guys. Just a basic summary. I might do an in-depth guide of the one jab, break it down better, but it's not to throw this out because, man, I don't see a lot of people throwing out the one jabs in neutral, but it's very strong. And if you spam one jabs a lot, opponents can have a hard time starting offense against you. It's kind of a bait as well, right? You're throwing out one jab a lot to be like, okay, this guy keeps on interrupting my offense. I can't get in on this guy, so let me start going low. So now you know that, okay, this guy is afraid of my neutral. He's afraid of my one jab, so you start throwing out a lot of low moves. Like in King's case, you start throwing out a lot of forward neutral too, right? Because forward 1 or forward neutral on +2 is getting interrupted by that one jab. So it's kind of like a bait you can use as well, which is awesome. That's just the basic summary, guys, of how you want to implement the one jab in your neutral. A very, very good tool. Now, JDCR did a video on this back in Tekken 7. It's still relevant up to this day because jabs still work the same in Tekken 8 as they did back in Tekken 7. So I'll leave the link in the description if I do find the video, and please check it out. This is one of the best tools in Tekken that I can say like 80% of the Tekken community don't know how to fully utilize. Like the one jab is amazing and it will elevate your gameplay like 100%. You will 100% level up if you do utilize this one jab in your neutral. I didn't actually know about this as well until I watched JDCR'S video, and as I just keep playing and keep practicing daily, you know, matches, experimenting, you will know just how good these jabs are. Just to give you guys another example, Steve is known to have a very strong jab game because of his 1, 2, 3. Because his 1, 2, 3 jabs kind of act like a one jab. His 1, 2, 3 jabs are very difficult to whiff punish. They have very good tracking, and they are plus if they get you on hit. They are amazing for interrupting opponents, especially opponents that don't have really good high crush. So people complain about Steve because of this particular move, back one and jabs. They're very difficult. It's very difficult to get in against Steve without playing smartly and going like, you know, spamming a lot of high crush moves. This is kind of the idea that plays behind the one jab. Not as good as Steve, because Steve's one jab isn't really that great. You use his 1, 2, 3 jabs instead of his one jab, but the one jab takes the same principles that Steve's 1, 2, 1 jabs take, kind of like the same thing, and how you want to implement your one jab in your gameplay. So that's just a basic summary. Again, guys, if you have more questions on this, please ask in the comment section below. Feel free. Again, I will do something more in depth on this. if you guys show some love to this video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video, guys. Just a brief explanation on how one jabs work. If you made this far, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and as usual, may the fairy data be ever in your favor. GG, my boys.